We're on page 5. Guys, this goes way back to algebra. Correct me if wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are fractions not the worst?
Yeah.
Our fractions, they like make life hard sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So, could I do something to get rid of my fractions?
Multiply by A.
If I multiplied this cute little thing by an A, would this cancel out? A over A.
Yes.
If I just gave Cooper $1 million, is that fair to everyone else?
Yeah.
No, so I got to give everyone an A. If I multiply one thing by something, I got to multiply it all by that same thing.
Sadly, that makes an A squared.
It is a little sad, but we can handle it. A squared minus what?
4A.
Careful. Wouldn't it just be 5 because my A's would cancel?
Well, no. Oh, you'd probably need to add in the 4A.
Oh, okay. Okay, are you okay with this step?
Yes.
Yeah, so you were just skipping a step. Are you guys okay with, if I multiplied everything by an A, now is my denominator gone? I no longer have fractions. And now I get to take a breath. But to your point, I now have an A squared. I got to bring that 4A over. So I'd have A squared minus 4A minus 5. Why would I do that? How could I solve this now?
You can then factor it.
We could just toot, right?
Yeah.
Or you could quadratic formula. That sounds terrible,
Well,
especially when we can toot.
At a solvable solution out of.
Well, let's check.
Out of
So
factor.
what multiplies to be -5 and adds to be -4? -5 and 1. Agreed. What would my A equal then?
Oh, I see.
5 and -1.
Oh.
So if I go back to my OG equation, and if I were to, you guys, if I, check this. If I put a 5 minus a 5 over 5, if I plugged in this answer right there, 5 minus 1, aren't I getting 4?
Yeah.
Cool. What if I put in a -1? What if I did -1 minus 5 over -1? Cool. There happens to be 4 answers here. Bada bing, bada boom. We gooch. What happens here? Anyone have a strategy on this one?
Multiply by the largest denominator.
So we could multiply both sides by a 2m squared. I'm going to show us some different options. He said, okay, let's get rid of this 2m squared. I agree those would cancel out. And if I multiply that one by a 2m squared, I could multiply that one by a 2m squared. These cancel. What's left over here? Oh my God. Right, wouldn't I have a 2, yeah, you said a 2m squared times 1 would get me a 2m squared over an m. Would one of my m's cancel?
Yes.
So what would I have left?
2M.
2m equals, agreed, m minus 34. You guys, just like that, we got rid of my fractions. Life is so much better. Cooper, to your point, we don't have any negative exponents. I'm sorry, squared exponents. What's my m going to equal?
Yay.
But I'm going to show you another way to do this in case you were a little like, I wouldn't have come up with that on my own. You guys, whenever you've got a fraction equal to a fraction, can we cross multiply? So that's just another, I'm just adding tools to your toolbox. What would 1 times 2m squared get me? 2m squared. What would this get me? Be careful. M squared minus 34m. M squared minus 34m. Could I still do 2m squared minus 1m squared? Wouldn't that give me 31m? I'm sorry, 1m squared? This does seem really obnoxious, doesn't it? Add 34m to this side. Can we factor something out?
Yeah.
This one's kind of Ms., but we can still do it. Could we factor something out here? I could factor out a 1m. Who helped me with that? Thanks, Mateo. If I factored out a 1m, what would I get? M equals, when does this equal 0? 0. And when does this equal 0? Negative 34. Guys, this is important. Check this out. Do you agree that these answers matched? That one matches that one. I didn't get a 0 over here, and I'm fine with it, and here's why. What's 1 over 0? Yeah, is 0 going to be an answer option anyway? When you plug it back in, it doesn't even make a function. So if we did it this route, which we wouldn't have because that was way Ms. compared to that one, we would have to cross this one out anyway. 0 is not going to work. This is when things get a little dicier, right? Here's what I want you to focus on. I wish I had a little screen that I could put over these things. What would you multiply this one by to get rid of its denominator?
Y plus 2.
Y plus 2. So if I'm going to multiply
everything, and
this
I don't
one,
know how the heck would Y be.
if I've got to multiply that by Y plus 2, I better multiply everything by Y plus 2. You agree this is going to take care of this fraction. What do I need to cancel out just a Y?
Y.
I need a Y. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, but wait, I see a Y right there. You guys, let's pick a value for Y. Macy, what do you want Y to be? Give me any number on the planet. Okay, if Y was 5, aren't we really, if Y was 5, do you agree that this quantity down here is a 7?
Yes.
And if Y was 5, we're canceling out a 7 with the 7. If Y is 5, is this 7 going to cancel out that 5? It's not going to. So you guys, we need to multiply by a Y on everything as well to cancel out that guy. Last thing, will this one be taken care of by what we've already set up? People?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what I want you to think. We're ready. Is this Y plus 2 going to cancel out with this Y plus 2? Boom, boom. What do I have left? 2Y. What's going to cancel out here? My Y's. Psh, psh. What's left? Love it. We'll tune in 1 second, guys. Here we go. What's canceling out over here? Y plus 2. What's left? Minus Y squared, because don't we have a, oh yeah, good call. Mateo, these always get multiplied. You guys, do you agree we have 5 Y's? We have a Y squared, so we got to bring it over. Do you want to bring it to the left, or do you want everything else to go to the right? To the left, right? We want to make that a positive Y squared so we can just toot and not O-toot. I'd have Y squared, how many Y's? 5 Y's plus 6 equals 0. We can toot because it's 1Y squared and not negative 1Y squared. What multiplies to be 6 adds to be 5? Y plus 3, Y plus 2 is what you said, buddy? Love it. Sure did. Okay, you guys, what would my Y be? -3 and -2. Which one of those do I have beef with? I've got beef with one of these answers. When I look back at my original problem, which one do I have beef with? Why do I have beef with -2? If I put -2 right here, what would this denominator be? Can I ever divide by 0? No, ma'am. So -2 cannot be an answer. -3 is going to be my only one. You guys, this looks nasty. Am I wrong that you would be like, oh my God, I've got to multiply by a 3a plus 3 on everything, and a 4a minus 4 on everything, and a 2a plus 2 on everything? Gross. You might have to do that if things didn't factor, and maybe things would cancel out.
Things can factor.
What does this guy factor to be? 3a plus 1, is that equivalent? What about this one? 4a minus 1. What about this one? 2, and then an a plus 1. Does this make you happy, Beck, that we have an a plus 1 and an a plus 1? At least one of them matches, right?
Yeah.
You guys, do I have to multiply everything by a 3 and a 4 and a 2? Or could I come up with one number that they all go into?
A plus 1.
12. Does 2, 3, and 4 all go into 12? Yeah. So if you were to multiply everything by 3 and everything by 4 and everything by 2, you will get the right answer still. It's just going to be a lot bigger numbers to get to the final answer. It's just going to be a lot more work, really. So if you're like, okay, it's called the least common multiple. 3, 4, and 2 have in common. Let's go multiply everything by a 12. So I'm going to put that in my fancy green. 12, and we're multiplying, and we're multiplying. What would I need to cancel out this cute little a plus 1? Don't overthink it. What do you think, you, Blake? We need an a plus 1. An a plus 1, and an a plus 1, and an a plus 1. What about this a minus 1? I need an a minus 1, and an a minus 1, and an A minus 1. What about this A plus 1? Is it already going to be taken care of? Thank goodness. Am I right? Bless up. Okay, here we go. Whew. People, this is going to be a little uncomfortable. Ready? I'm left with a 4 divided by a 3. What would that get me? I did not say that correctly. I'm left with a 12 divided by a 3, which is 4, right? So I'm going to write out this step. This step might not help some people, but it might help some. I'm going to say I started with a 7a. My 12 over 3 is giving me a 4. What? Do you guys agree that this a plus 1 will cancel out there? And I'm left with an a minus 1? If you skip this and you write 28a, perfect. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just letting you know this needs to get multiplied by whatever is left. I have a 4 because 12 divided by 3 got me a 4. Yeah? Then I got a minus. What's going to happen when I do this 12 divided by this 4? Agreed. So I'd have 12 over 4 is 3. So do you agree I'd have this minus this 5 times 3 there? So I got minus of 15. Any parentheses stuff cancel out? A minus 1s cancel, and I'm left with a plus 1. Then what about this 12 over this 2? Gets me a 6. My a plus 1s cancel. What would I have when I multiply these together? 18a times a minus 1. Whoo, that was a lot. Let's go multiply some stuff, people. Do you guys agree that this is 28a?
Yeah.
Let's take it here and here.
Well, couldn't... Oh,
28a squared minus 28a?
yeah.
Is that right? Minus 15a? Minus? Equals? Minus 18a squared, right? Minus 18a? Oh my gosh. What was I doing to you on a Friday? Sheesh. To Cooper's point, we now have some like terms. What if I move my 18a squared over? What's 28a squared minus 18a squared? 10a squared? I had negative 43a's, and I'm going to add 18a's to that. Negative 43 plus 18. Say that again? Yes, buddy. Minus 25a. And then we just have a minus 15. At this point, toot or O-toot? O-toot, but could I take a GCF out? Let's take a 5 out just to make some smaller numbers.
Yeah.
2a squared minus 5a minus 3. But it's still an O-toot, but at least our numbers will be smaller. What multiplies to be negative 6 and adds to be negative 5? Negative 6 and a 1. I'm going to bring down my 5. Negative 6a plus 1a, said Ritzy. Let's go get our Harry Potter wand. What does that first set have in common?
2a.
And what's left?
A minus 3.
Yep. Hey, Ritzy, look what we have over here.
So 1.
Yeah, I've got an a minus 3 already. So we're going to factor out a 1, and we'll have an a minus 3. How would I write that in pretty print?
5, 2a plus 1
Uh-huh.
times a minus 3.
Perfect. Okay, you guys, what would be my a values here?
Negative 1/2 and 3.
Ooh, and maybe you're like, how did he do that? He said each of these equal to 0.
Where's the 5?
Yeah, good call. Just like this, couldn't I say 5 equals 0, 2a plus 1 equals 0, and a minus 3 equals 0, right? Beck, does 5 ever equal 0?
No, I was going like this. You distribute the 5.
You could, but you don't. No, I would want it factored out.
Okay.
And because right here you can say, like, oh, 5 doesn't equal 0. I don't have to worry about it at all, okay? You guys, just like Ritzy said, we'd subtract 1 and divide by 2. So we got my A is -1/2 and A is 3. Do I have beef with any of those answers?
Nope.
You don't think?
It's pretty good.
What would make this one turn into what would make this have a denominator of 0? If A was -1, this one? +1, -1, and we didn't get any of that, so we're Gucci with our answers. What do we have to, can anything factor here? No. Nothing can factor. What do I have to multiply to get rid of this denom? 2q plus 3. If anyone's angry at me for putting a q, make everything an x. I don't care. I'm going to go with q's, but I got to multiply by a 2q plus 3. Everything. Don't I also need a 2q minus 3 to cancel out the other one? Beck is so sad right now.
Really?
Yeah, you do. You need it. What about this little guy? What's his denominator? What if I multiply everything by a 1? Is that going to change anything? No. So, we've got our setup. What's going to cancel out here? 2q plus 3's are gone. Do you want to go ahead and distribute while we write it? Okay. What would we have? How many q's? 4q squared. Minus 6q. Okay, Mateo, appreciate you. Minus. Be very careful. What would I have when I distribute this? Okay, I think everyone's going to get that part. What I'm worried about is the next one. Minus 6q. A lot of people are going to want to put plus 6q, but this minus 2q has to get distributed. So it would be a minus 6q. Is that what you said, Ritzy? Great. This is annoying. What's on the right side? Does anything cancel out? My denominator is currently 1. Nothing cancels out with it, right? You guys, we got to distribute it.
Yeah.
I like that. Let's do it. What's 2q times 2q? 4q squared. Minus 6q. Ooh, what's this going to do? Plus 6q. We love that. Those cancel. Ends with? Thanks. Sorry, VC. I heard you say that a while ago, and I didn't know where that came from, and now I see it. Does anything cancel? 4q squared minus 4q squared. What about these negative 6q plus 6q? Ah, and he said, all right, now that nothing else cancels, let's combine them. We have a negative 12q equals 4q. Whoa, look at that q. Look at that q. Oh, poor q. 4, I'm going to erase that guy. Come on, buddy. Get out of there. 4q squared minus 9. Can we go throw that 12q on the other side? Here's the deal.
I know.
This one does not O2. Nothing multiplies to be negative 36 and adds to be 12. So we're going to end this day with the best quadratic formula ever. All right, let's finish with that nice quadratic formula. I'm going to sing it for you, and then you're going to fill in some blanks for me. It goes a little something like this. X equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Let's do it. What's my negative b? Negative 12. Plus or minus square root. What's b squared? 144. Minus 4a is c all over 2 times a. 4. Yeah, I'm going to write 2 times 4. You could just write 8, Mateo. Agreed. You guys, my 2 answers are going to be negative 12 plus or minus. Anyone get something in that root? What? It's getting a 0? Oh. I got you. That over here, a negative times negative gets us another 144. So that's going to get me my 288 in there over 8. You guys, I have a best treat for you. Guess what? You remember how we've been doing alpha y equals? You guys hit alpha x. Hit alpha x and it goes straight to the fraction. It's the best thing ever. Check this out. Alpha X, boom. Isn't that a treat?
Wow.
Guys, that's a treat.
That's a treat.
Alpha X, negative 12 plus root 288 divided by 8. Alpha X, isn't that a treat, Porter?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got two different values. We got them to be 0.6 and negative 3.6.